Hello friends and welcome back to another Theory Thursday. Hope you're all doing well out there. And just before we dive in, I'd like to mention that if you like what I do here, then let me know with a simple like, leave your thoughts down in the comments below. And if you're new, welcome along and just hit that subscribe button down there. It'll only take 2 seconds and it will just help to support the channel to grow it, and it will let me know that you enjoy this kind of content. So without further ado, let's dive into this theory. One of the most fascinating and debated topics within the Warhammer 40k universe is the mystery behind the two lost legions. And of course, making lore videos, this topic was going to come up sooner or later. However, in this video, I'll be focusing more so on the second Primarch and not the 11th, as the 11th Primarch, that'll be a video for another time. The second Primarch was also known as the Forgotten One, was found in the early years of the Great Crusade. His name, deeds and records were erased alongside the 11th Primarch 43 standard Terran years before the drop site massacre at Esteban V. Around the same time, his legionaries were believed to be inducted into the Ultramarines and Imperial Fist legions. Perhaps one legion went to the Ultramarines, the other went to the Imperial Fists, and it is reported that their numbers swelled massively around this time. This seems to indicate that the legionaries themselves weren't at fault for whatever befell their Primarch. But the name the Forgotten, this seems to imply that something horrific happened to him, that it just needed to be just forgotten and swept under the rug. However, maybe that something else might have happened. Maybe he was sent on a perilous mission with the utmost secrecy, so he had to be forgotten. A mission that only the Emperor could have entrusted him. There is a short mention of the second Primarch in the novel Fulgrim, whereby he refers to him as his quiet brother and being master of the second. This gives us a small glimpse into his character, being quiet and rarely speaking. Fulgrim also mentions how even the normal contemplative master of the second had broken his silence to join the other 6 Primarchs and accuse him of hubris. Fulgrim claims that he was a hypocrite for saying this, and describes him as a quiet and apparently humorless man. Looking further into whatever slithers of information that we have on the second Primarch, we will now go to a small extract from the novel Fabius Bile, Clone Lord. Here, the Emperor's children were sent on an expedition led by Fabius Bile to venture into the far eastern fringes of the galaxy. There, they discovered an ancient Necron device known only as the Imgal Monolith, and whilst there, 2 legionaries of the Emperor's children made mention of the missing Primarchs as follows. Fulgrim made mention of it once. Apparently, one of the 2 Forgotten Ones was said to have led an expedition into its black heart in the early centuries of the Great Crusade. Though why he was sent this far, and what he might have found, was never recorded. He frowned. Probably for the best. The galaxy has devils enough without letting out whatever resides there. Due to the timeline of events, it is pretty much confirmed that it was the second Primarch, not the 11th, that went out to the Imgal Monolith, as the 11th Primarch was discovered 129 years into the Great Crusade, and the second was only found 23 standard Terran years into the Great Crusade, and was the 3rd Primarch to be found. So, given the nature of the second Primarch and how he likes to keep to himself, he's quite quiet, he lacks humour, he rarely ever speaks, and he has been noted to have been sent out far into the eastern fringe of the galaxy to explore the Imgal Monolith, a very powerful Necron device. This paints a picture of a Primarch that would be tasked to carry out dangerous missions far away from the wider Imperium. Someone that is cold and detached, yet very focused on completing tasks only given to him, tasks against forces that seek to destroy the Imperium, that are only rarely mentioned at all. So, what's the connection? So, I think I've made a connection. I mean, I'm not going to be the first one to have done this, of course, but I discovered a link between the Lost Primarch and a bit of a fan favourite Space Marine chapter. A certain void-loving tribal-marked ragtag group of Marines. Now you're probably wondering, what chapter is this? Well, they're known as the Carcharodons. But let me explain. Within the lore of the Carcharodons, they refer to a being, their original leader, as the Void Father. So what if their Void Father is actually the Primarch of the Second Legion? If this were the case, it would explain a lot of things. For example, it will explain why their power armor is so incredibly mixed. It utilizes ancient suits of power armor dating back to the Horus Heresy and even the Great Crusade. They are also silent and rarely ever speak. And when they do speak, they speak in ancient High Gothic, which is incredibly formal, and is actually unnerving to a lot of Imperial high commands that they rarely ever kind of speak to, but when they do, they're taking a step back because it's such an old form of Gothic, as most tend to speak just low Gothic. They also have no battle cries, no inspiring speeches to raise morale in the heat of battle, just cold, ruthless silence and efficiency, just like how the second Primarch had been described. Another parallel that we can draw on is the fact the second Primarch was sent far out into the fringes of the galaxy, most likely to hunt down and keep unknown horrors of the void at bay from reaching and leaking into the Imperium. A favoured tactic, and by the Carcharodons, and that's what they've sort of been designed for. He was also known as the Forgotten One, and the Carcharodons do not know who their father is. Coincidence? Maybe, but I don't think so. I believe that the Emperor, knowing what lay beyond the borders of the galaxy, trusted the second Primarch with a small company of his own Marines to go and keep the nightmares that linger there from spilling into the Imperium. Then once the second Primarch had left, the Emperor had covered up this task he had ordered him by labelling him as the Forgotten One, a way of keeping his deeds a secret, knowing that his task would be grueling and the entities he would face horrifying beyond belief. The similarities between both the second Primarch and the Carcharodons are surprisingly striking. Based on what fraction information we have on the Forgotten One, of course, and knowing all that we do about the Carcharodons. This theory does piece together a lot of unanswered questions, but as always, it raises a lot of new ones. But will Games Workshop ever reveal exactly what happened to the second Primarch? No, and I really hope they don't. Of course, within the lore and the wider community, we all know that outside of the lore, the reason why Games Workshop has 2 Lost Legions is so then it gives players a chance to create their own legions, their own backstories, and to put their own little sort of flavours into the lore. But with the explosive popularity with the Horus Heresy novels, it is very interesting to see little tiny tidbits of information about the 2 Lost Legions, and from there we can start to piece together our own theory. There are many out there, but this is one that I think makes a lot of sense. And so here we come to the end of my theories. So let me know down in the comment section below if you agree with this theory, if you have maybe perhaps heard it before, that sort of thing, then do let me know about your thoughts on this. And if you enjoyed this video and you want to see me make more like this and want to help to support the channel and grow it, and that would be absolutely fantastic, and what you have to do is simply silently hunt down the like and subscribe button and enact the Emperor's justice. And once you are done, let the other fellow members of the Imperium know your deeds by sharing this with your friends. I have recently opened a new Discord server for you all to join in, so if you want to discuss all things tabletop, share painted minis and memes, and just hang out, there will be a link down in the description for you below. I'm quite new to Discord, so I think I've got everything all prepared, so if there is anything that I am missing, then do let me know, but there'll be a link and it'll be fantastic to see some people over there and just share and chat and hang out. That'd be awesome. And as always, stay safe, stay beautiful, and we'll see you all next time.